So, one class that I would encourage everyone to take, like if you are in high school, wherever you are, um, take a class at community college. Just the class is called like Intro to Sociology. Now, the reason that that class is really important, and I took a lot of sociology classes, and to be honest, I just didn't care about them because I'm like, I live in the world. I know this shit already. But I think actually when I took the class, like when I took that intro sociology class, some of the stuff on a macro level I actually didn't know. I thought I understood it, but yeah, I think it's a class that even if you feel like you know some stuff, you might need to take it again to like just really ensure that like you got it. Because I want to talk for a second about community. Um, Community is this idea of like, think about an apartment building. Everyone who lives in an apartment building basically has like it's standardized, as in like the apartment manager can tell you like each unit, like two bedrooms in this building cost this much money, one bedroom costs this much money, a studio costs this much money. So like everyone in the building who lives there is paying like the same amount. Like the qualifications are the same. You have to be making this much money. You have to like not have like a felony or something, or you can't have this. You can't, like, whatever the rules are for the building, it's standardized because everyone in that community, right, in that apartment building, now they all are following the same rules. That's kind of the idea around like neighborhoods, except in the black community. Like, I gotta say, like, I didn't realize how privileged I was just to go to public school in Berkeley as opposed to Oakland. Like, that's a very strange thing because the neighborhoods are like 1 mile apart. But Oakland schools are so awful, and it's mostly because they're full of poor black and brown people, and unfortunately wealth is racialized in this country. We could talk about that if more people honestly have questions about that or find that topic interesting and want to hear a little bit more about my perspective on that specifically, because I've got to tell you, like, I've been the chocolate chip everywhere I go. Like, I just grew up in all white spaces. Like, I'm always like the only black person. It's not even like um some things are kind of funny because it's sort of like a, how do you say, a oh, like there's two or three, or like, no, 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 like there's so many things in this country that have been racialized. I know we don't like to talk about it, but it's true. So having access to like well-funded libraries, having access to clean parks, having access to a Trader Joe's or a Whole Foods, having access to like healthcare. Okay, like having access to some stuff that is so basic is not a right or privilege for most black people in the country and in the world. Um And so, one thing about community is actually, if you live in an upper middle class community, I'm not going to talk about the ultra wealthy, the Diddy's, and living in Malibu with Beyonce and all them, because like most of us aren't ever going to get there. And that's okay, because like you can actually still live a pretty great life if you don't live there. And most of that has to do with just having a job, and really having a career, which you could get if you just went to college, which is why college is like really important. But that's a whole other conversation. So when you live in a community, especially like a middle class community, um you have like these, how do you say, like income based distinctions where like everyone is going to live somewhere, whether it's like an apartment, a home, a mansion, right? And kind of like the middle class is pretty much considered anywhere between like 70,000 to like, I want to say, mm, maybe I'll say like to like 2 million a year. That's pretty much like the middle class right now. I think that's a pretty good like standard. Yeah. If you're making between 70,000 and 2 million a year, you're in the middle class. Um Now, there's a lot of leeway, right? Or there's a large gap, because somebody making $70,000 a year versus somebody who's making $2 million a year is living a significantly different life. Like they just have access to like different types of stuff. It's like the person who lives, I don't, in Nob Hill in San Francisco versus the person who lives in like West Oakland or something, like under the BART tunnel in like a really shitty apartment. It's, you know what I mean? Like the very different experiences. Um, but it's still the middle class. So now the interesting part about being in the middle class and being in community is that even if you don't have something, there's probably someone in your community, like in your neighborhood, in your proximity of alive people right now, not like some storybook of someone who died like way long ago, like someone who's alive right now who like has the thing that you want. So like let's say like you're a poor kid who comes from a home, you're only making like $50,000. Your mom is only making like $30,000 a year or something. And you're like, but you want to be a doctor. But then like you go to school with someone whose parent is a doctor. Well, now you could just like, as the kid, maybe your mom like talks to that other mom who's the doctor and is like, oh, my kid wants to be a doctor, and then they like give that the other kid, the poor kid, a book or something that's like, oh, you know, like look at this book. That's like a gem of resource that like you never known existed, you know, just because like you are in community with that person who had the thing that you didn't have. The interesting thing about segregation and really like socioeconomic segregation is that like this has been happening for so long, and I feel like I've been watching it happen, but I just didn't know how to communicate about it because like I said, I'm very self-interested, so all I can think about really is like, well, what the fuck is it that I want? And I've been trying to chase my own bag and create my own opportunities. I've made this channel myself, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I feel like really a lot of content creators have been doing that, but like that, so I don't know, like I'm not really here for like the well-being of everyone, but as a Black woman, I do feel like it's probably important to like not just disappear. That's why I had to have the Finstagram accounts, because some of the shit that you see on Instagram, you just be like, what the fuck are people posting? This is crazy. Like, what can you say? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not posting it, but I've seen some like weird shit. So I just created my own form of like weirdness that also people didn't understand and they hadn't seen it before. And it was very just new and awkward. But yeah. There are some very interesting videos on this channel. If you go back, like some of the chit chats are so fucking interesting, and I think that a lot of people have probably like gotten their shit together from when I posted that, but I'm not taking those videos down. Like those experiences are real, and I'm gonna keep them there. And if you're interested, like I've done some pretty interesting shit on this channel. There's been some. The story times are good. Like you should go back and watch. Yeah, and maybe, you know, I might do a little bit of writing and make a more, how do you say, detailed video about community. I don't really feel like doing that right now, but I did jot it down in my notes, so I wanted to say that.